Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci with ProTech Dog Training. We're heading down the hill again, about an hour or so away to a good friend of mine and a trainer that I respect a lot, Mr. Ted Bellmeyer. Ted's a Schutzen trainer that's got himself a nice facility, boarding, training, and he's really a good trainer for what I'm needing right now with Loki. Loki is a young puppy, and a lot of times I like to go to the Schutzen decoys and trainers to help me build bite, because the bite development is like any behavior you imprint as a puppy, okay? Chewing, whatever it may be. If you don't have somebody that knows what he's doing, you're not going to imprint him right. You're not going to give the dog the right start in life, so to speak. Okay? I don't want a dog biting with the front of his teeth. I want him to be developed way back here and setting the bite, and then how the dog works. Like with Loki, he's at a stage, he's only about 14 weeks old. And we're trying to get it before he ends up going into the teasing stage. Because when he starts teething, I got to quit for about a month. But when they're this age, you can develop a lot, imprint a lot with their bite and how they approach that grip. Okay? I want a dog biting right back here. And then we also want the dog's mental aspect. Where's the dog's head at in the work to be established properly and imprinted properly? If you have a decoy that's being out there and he's too frantic or he doesn't know how to stimulate the dog properly, he's giving a high drive dog like this too much stimulation. It's a good example. Simple to do. I always tell people it's really easy to teach a dog to be mean, to be aggressive. The key is the art, the finesse behind it, how you're developing all the dog's work. How does he strike? Does he have a good grip? Does he bite with the back of his mouth? All these things. Where's the dog's head at in the work? With a high drive dog, I don't want too much stimulation, because then the dog's work will be frantic. I don't want a frantic dog. Just because he can go out and bite and he's all frantic, it's not what I want. Why? Because when they're young and they've got a very good genetic stamp, they have high drives and they've got good genetic background, you can really screw a dog up real quick. And he's going to mature, he's going to change over time, right? He's going to change over time to a point where that maturity is going to bring his high energy outflow down a little bit. But if I work him with a lot of stimulation, and I go out there and give him a lot of civil agitation and get a lot of teeth showing, and the dog it looks badass, don't get me wrong. But a young dog like that, when I see that, I right away think to myself, that's not what I want. I want a dog nice and calm and methodical and just kind of matter of fact in the work. And if I develop it properly, that's going to stay with him for the rest of his life. Because I need a dog that's a companion dog. To be able to sell the dogs that I do, I want a dog that's friendly, fine, be able to go anywhere with me, be totally stable. And when I give him a key word or a key action from an individual, he's going to fire right up, and he has a very good sense of purpose and what his job is. Okay, a lot of it's genetic. Okay, but you can do the right work to get a dog to understand what his job is. Okay, and we do it a lot when we're talking service dogs. We're talking certain type of work with protection dogs, with those that know what they're doing. They can end up getting that dog to have a very good sense of purpose and understanding of what their job is. And that's what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for a dog that doesn't just go out and do the actions, the behavior. I'm looking for a dog that shows me that he really understands what his job is, that he understands that he's protecting your home and your family and your bike or your car, okay, your vehicle. Some of this is going to be what they call boundary protection, okay, where the dog is very naturally very aggressive in these areas, in a crate, behind the fence, behind your door in your house, hits the windows and goes crazy. That's boundary, okay, and it's a very natural instinct for a dog. So back to our decoys. Make sure that you do your research and you make sure you find out who's got those qualified skills to be able to make sure that he builds bite properly, that he's got the dog working in the right mental mindset, okay? Depending on what you're getting into. Are you into Schutzen? You into ring sport? You into PSA? APA? APA is the new KNVP. It's coming over. The Holland has got a sport by the name of KNVP. And it's actually the closest to real police work that there is. And their breeding program for that neck of the woods is putting out a genetic stamp of really strong dogs. Most of these dogs, as far as I'm concerned, coming from that area, should only be in police and military type of action, because they're just too much for most people to handle. And most people say, oh, I want one. They're going to get one, and the dog spins out, ends up getting put into the pound and getting put down, which is very sad. It's not the dog's fault. It's the person that gets one that's overmatched. The dog is too much for them. The genetic stamp is too strong with their lack of knowledge to understand what they're doing, and the dog is going to spell. That's why you won't have me. I've got, hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers right now, I've got a bitch that hopefully has puppies in her. And if she does, I won't sell any of those to the general public. I will only sell those to working dog people, with people that I respect that have some bona fide behind them, that I know they can handle this type of a dog. Why? Because I don't want to see a dog go into a home, end up being too much dog for that person, spin out with all kinds of negative behaviors, and end up having to be put in the pound and get put down for no other reason than the ignorance of the person that's got it. Back to that ignorant word, okay? In other words, lack of knowledge, okay? So that just takes doing, and after a while that person might have the knowledge they need to be able to have a dog with that strong genetic stamp, okay? My dog's definitely got strong genetic stamps, and you're not going to want that. Right now I've got a dog in the back of the car that's going to be hopefully sold in the next few weeks. We've got a person that may want him, and that's why I've got him out with me today. We're going to let Ted work him. Back to our decoys and why I choose who I do. I usually like a Schutzen trainer that really has a good sense of the animal, and I look for somebody like Ted that's very giving to his puppies, okay? And has a very good ability to be in tune with the animal that he's working, and that's because he cares, okay? You know, I have a lot of decoys that are out there and they have a very strong ego and they want to look good and they're all out there showboating and they're not in tune with the animal as much. So to me it's more important. I've got another trainer, nationally rated decoy, that does a lot of nationals, things like that, that's just down the way from me, and I work with him on the weekends. And this gentleman I have a lot of respect for because he's old style trainer. In other words, he's been around for a lot of years. He can do ring sport, he can do street work, he can do Schutzen, and he has a good understanding of all those things. So when I ask him to do certain things, he right away can give me what I want. And I'll probably be down at his place on Sunday. Hopefully with the new weather, we got nice weather now, we'll be able to get him to work with us. So be careful when you go out and you look around for who's going to work your puppy, because those imprints when they're young are the most important time. Okay? How you develop that dog to make sure that his head is in the right place when he does the work. Okay? If you're going out there to these trainers, there's a bunch of them that are what I call street trainers. They're basically more urban city, inner city mentality is what I call it. And they work with a lot more of a civil agitation. Creates a whole other monster that I don't like because I don't think the dogs are stable. They like it because on the street, their world, it's more applicable what they need. And their egos and their own personalities and everything kind of, they have no other way. They're in this environment and this is kind of the way they think. So are they good or bad? When I need them, they're good. Usually it's towards the top end of my dog where I'm getting ready to flip the dog to the wheel. And that's when I need that kind of work because I'm testing to see if that dog's going to be the quality product that I am trying to give to my customers. Okay? Because in the end, that's what I'm after. I'm after to produce a finished product that I can give to my customers and then customize for my customers. Okay? So I wanted to just get on here and chatter a little bit about what I'm going through on a daily basis. Today we're going out to see a decoy. It's got my mind on what makes me work with the individuals that I work with. What am I looking for as a personal protection trainer, as a person that's trying to develop my dog to end up being a finished product? What am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for all kinds of different individuals, and I'm looking to put my dog in front of them at the right times to develop whatever it may be. So right now we're developing Loki. Where my head's at is we're going to be developing what's called activate the decoy. We're going to be teaching that dog that his actions are what activate the prey, and then we're going to start working on some bite development as well. Okay? And with Ted, I'll just trust him to do what he's got to be done because I know he knows what he's doing, and he knows where my head's at. So all I got to do with these people, because they get to know me, is just chatter a little bit, boom, they click on it, and then I've got to trust that they're going to be able to read the dog and have the right timing to develop this dog properly. Okay? And I do, because I wouldn't be working with them if they didn't. Okay? Nobody works my puppies if they don't know what they're doing. Okay? So in a nutshell, be very careful when your dog's young, right? So I'll go ahead and talk to you guys a little later, and I'll be doing more of these as I head out and do my thing. We'll just chatter, and whatever's kind of in my mind, whatever's kind of right there, that's what I'll be talking about. And hopefully it'll help you guys learn and grow a little bit. There's another subject I want to talk about, and that's bloodlines, genetics in general. What's out there is an overall spectrum that's available to you as a buyer of puppies and what type of genetic stamps that you might see. So, and this is working dogs. This is or show dogs and shepherds, shepherds, Rots, Dutch shepherds, Malinois. That's the working dogs. That's what I deal with. That doesn't mean that I don't know how to work a poodle or a chihuahua. I've been working so many dogs my whole life. I've worked about every breed you can think of. But in a general sense, that's my wheelhouse, so to speak, is the working dogs and developing working dogs. So I'll talk to you a little bit later. You have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.